Hey, Dan Blewett here. Let's talk about when you should start throwing a sinker slash two-seamer. So my big thing is when you throw slow, let's call slow, like obviously depending on what level you're at, slow is relative, but let's say slow is 65 or below. So typically you start to throw 65 or better when you're like 13-ish years old, okay? So when you throw 65 or better, the pitch can start to do different things. It's hard enough. This is sort of an arbitrary gate that I'm putting on it, but I think at basically 65 miles per hour or higher, you can start to throw a two-seamer. We'll start to have a little bit more sudden sink and arm side run action to it. Whereas when you throw slower than that, when you're 12, 11, 10, 9, you're better off just throwing a four-seamer and learning to command the strike zone, but you're also just not going to get much movement at all because of how fast the pitch travels. So pitch movement is really, it's not an optical illusion, it happens, but it's sort of an illusion in the sense that the hitter judges everything basically off a four-seamer. So when he sees so many straight fastballs, that anytime a pitch looks like a straight fastball and then it suddenly isn't, whether it's a curveball or slider or cutter or sinker or two-seamer, his brain is fooled because his brain is doing physics and saying, oh, fastball, 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 oh, then it's not a fastball. So the harder the pitch is, the more that effect is amplified because it's really getting far down that fastball's path before it changes trajectory. So when you don't throw very hard, it doesn't matter what you throw, it's going to have slow, sort of meandering movement, whether it's a curveball, whether it's a changeup. It's just not going to be anything compared to a college or pro guy's off-speed stuff. So when you throw slower than 65, let's say, and so again, if we're going by age here, we're probably at 13 or 14 years old, just stick to a four-seamer. When you're 13 or 14, you're in the mid-60s or better, you can start throwing a two-seamer, and it'll start to do a little bit more, and that's fine. But just make sure you throw enough strikes. If you're a guy that's struggling to throw enough strikes, meaning you're not walking more than 2 batters per 7 innings, you're getting ahead consistently in the count. If you're not doing that, those two things, throwing probably 65% strikes, 2 or less walks per 7 innings, and you're getting ahead consistently in the count. If you're not doing those 3 things well, then it's probably not in your best interest to throw a two-seamer because you're not even throwing enough strikes in general. Now you're throwing a fastball version that's just going to slide off the plate. That's not going to help you throw more strikes. And if as the game improves or as you go up in levels, umpires get tighter, hitters don't swing it at as much stuff out of the zone. So if you're not improving your command young, it's only going to get worse as it gets older. So I think, again, if we're looking for a target age of when to start a sinker or two-seamer, I think 65 miles per hour, and that's typically 13 or 14 years old for most pitchers.